What's going on, everybody? LK here, and today back to some Guilty Gear Strive strategy. So we're going to be revisiting a concept that I talked about before, but we're going to try to take it a little bit further and use some more specific examples as the game has evolved. So I want to talk about Faultless Defense. So as a quick review, in case you forgot, there's three main ways of blocking. So you have your normal block, okay? Then you have instant block. So the difference between normal block and instant block is that instant block makes it so that there's no pushback. So again, normal block, where he gets pushed out here. Then instant block, where he is right in my face. And then the last one is Faultless Defense, where you see it has the most pushback. While instant block has actually changed, Faultless Defense has changed since the game has come out. The main thing is that the minimum pushback is now set, and it doesn't change frame data even though it pushes you really far back. So before, anything you would Faultless Defense would add 2 frames of block stun, but now it doesn't do that anymore. So in my opinion, I think they changed this because it really felt like in Exerd, Faultless Defense had more pushback than this game. It makes sense in this game that the Faultless Defense has less pushback because more moves are unsafe, so it would be harder to like take your turn back and things like that. But also, I don't think as many characters had ways to take advantage of the additional frame advantage that the Faultless Defense gave you, if that made sense. It actually heavily benefited characters like Soul, who has like this +2 on block /. Now it's a +4 on block /, and he's still advancing. And he's getting it from kind of just doing it. So this concept of like crushing FD is a tactic I used a ton in Exerd. So in Exerd and Strive, you would aim to target people's defense, but you do it in different ways. Strive is more about like using different timings to get people scared of you doing stuff, and then you act even though you're negative. Where Exerd, you had to pay attention to how they were using instant block and Faultless Defense sometimes, and try to punish them for using that. It was a pretty advanced thing, but this type of thing does not exist in Strive so much. So Milia has this move. This is what her S disc used to look like. This move is -1 on block. So with that knowledge, it should be pretty straightforward on how I would use this to attack people who are using Faultless Defense to get out of my pressure. So I would set up a situation like this. So the S disc is -1. So you can press buttons after it. She can't really take her turn. She's safe, can't really take her turn. But if you Faultless Defense to S disc, you will get punished. So in a match, a sequence like this could happen. And this only happens because the S disc is FD'd. So instead of being -1, it becomes +1, which means I have a frame trap in the corner. He won't be pushed away, so I'll be right in his face with advantage. It's very, very fast, and the opponent usually can't see it and have to be ready in advance or choose to not FD on purpose, which benefits me. So you might be like, why did you go back to Exerd to show us that old strategy? Because that tactic, attacking someone's Faultless Defense, that comes from the main idea I want to cover in this video, which is how you use FD against different characters, not how you use FD in general. At this point, we're all aware that FD pushes people out when you use it. Probably Guilty Gear 101. Now we want to think a little bit deeper and be like, all right, that's cool, but when do we want to use it and against who? The reason why I showed you that Exerd example is because the general strategy against Milia, especially in older Guilty Gear games, XX and Exerd, is to straight up use Faultless Defense to push her out because she's not that great at taking her turn back. Depending on the version of the game, she can use her resource like Pin to do it. She can pull up with some confidence sometimes. You can mix your pressure up. She does have things that are advantageous in that game as well. But generally, a pretty reliable strategy would be to push her out because she does have to use the resource or she does have to take the risk in advance. And just like this game, she doesn't have like the best long range moves. Like she has some moves that you might be like, wow, why does a pixie character have these type of attacks? But at that range, her pressure is not scary. She just has those moves. So strategies like that, taking advantage of the fact that I know people want to FD my pressure, creates those type of sequences. So let's look at a couple of characters in this game and talk about how we're going to think about blocking against them and using FD against them, starting with Lord Soul. So for Soul, the classic is definitely /. So we have experienced this in this game for a while, but now the pushback is more extreme on this move, and he doesn't gain an additional 2 frames of advantage. He's always +2 now. So there's a couple of things we could think of as baseline counterplay, right? Of course, if you know he's going to keep doing it, the 10 frame startup move that's +2. So as long as you have a move that's fast enough, you can interrupt, and depending on your character, you get different amounts of return, right? Milia gets good return. She gets 2k2d into H-Disc, win condition, boom. You can also choose to stand FD this, and it'll make it so that he can't repeat this over and over and over. In previous versions of Strive, he could do this for quite a while before you actually get him off you with the FD, and your meter is gone. So a tactic he would use against Faultless Defense would be this. So he's +2 and he goes into the 2k. This makes it so that you can't jump, which means you definitely cannot press. Doing a crouching FD or a standing FD will negate this. Faultless Defense also helps against his pressure reset. So take Gunflame, for example. So this string I can't jump out of. If I Faultless Defense here, he's much further than normal, which gives me the time to pull up with an instant air dash, get the heavy counter hit, and get a knockdown. So if I had to summarize Soul basic Faultless Defense strategy in a nutshell, and just like general thoughts while blocking him, using Faultless Defense against // is really important because he has to alter his pressure quite a bit around that move. So now we have Mei. So Mei is an interesting one, and what I've been thinking is you probably don't want to use FD against her too much. So let's think about why. Now, the difference between Soul and Mei is that Mei has more disjointed moves that are more applicable. So she's got like 2S, // are big ones. The ideal range for these moves are pretty far. So if you use Faultless Defense too much, you're going to be pushing her out to that range. Or another way of saying it is using Faultless Defense doesn't stop her from doing what she wants to do, and she's not going to have to adjust too much. But Mei does have a command grab. So with that in mind, we want to aim to use Faultless Defense only when Mei is point blank. So even on moves that are heavily advantageous like close slash, she can straight up tick throw you off close slash with running momentum. If you FD, this is not the case. If you stand FD, you could really protect yourself as well. Mei doesn't commonly use lows in her pressure like 2k. Her 2k is decently large though. So stand FD or crouch FD is up to you. Once you push her out of the tick throw range, then you just have to deal with the dolphin guessing games and how willing is she to continue her turn, and how willing is she to try to protect space with moves like 6H, vertical dolphin, or rising jump heavy. So summary for Mei, you don't really want to FD her too much because she's going to be able to act from long distances anyway, but you do have to use it when she's point blank. A character who really lines up with this mindset is Nago, and the main reason is he can't run. So I'm quite literally mashing the dash macro. My dude, despite being an NFL linebacker, cannot run. Instead, because he's an NFL linebacker, he can fucking teleport. Crazy. So we know that Nago can't move without using special moves, and one of the scariest things about this character is of course the bite. This is the move that gives him much more freedom with his resource, the blood gauge. But he can't run like Mei, but he can get tick throws in a variety of ways. But however, a simple Faultless Defense application will save you. If you can use Faultless Defense when he's point blank, he basically can't tick throw you, which makes it so he has to rely a lot more on frame traps or push up much more aggressively to try to force a situation. Essentially, his command grab will mostly only be scary when you're seriously not prepared. So for example, if they do something like this, what's hard about that is that the Beyblade is instant and he's doing it from far, but he appears close. So if you don't FD in time, then you will get bit. Or if he does the classic, the throw PRC. Him and Mei are pretty similar in that you're using Faultless Defense with the command grab in mind. so that they have to do something to get back into that range instead of giving to them for free. Nago is a kind of a tough one because he has a lot of stuff that advances, where Mei is pretty simple in that, you know, you just have to do it when she's close, and then when she's far, she's in attack mode and not poke throw mode. The last character I want to talk about as far as Faultless Defense is Kyle. We all love Kyle. Here's an interesting one where you want to Faultless Defense him when he's close, so he can't tick throw you very easily, but you don't want him to be far away. Kai has a lot of moves that reach really far, advance, and the farther away he is, the more his like special cancel game gets stronger because he's going to be able to play from a safer range. But then you don't totally want him here. You basically want him to be like here. So you do this with a combination of using Faultless Defense when he's close, similar to Mei and Nago. Here's an example string of why you want to FD him when he's point blank. So we're gonna FD, and now he gets far slash nothing, right? If I don't FD, he gets this type of string. The 6k is +4. I know there's some people who are newer to the game who are like, man, this move is kind of worthless. His 6k is 25 frame startup +4. So this is like one of the only moves he has that's like not in shock state, where he's like big advantage. So you don't want him to get this for free. Using Faultless Defense, we can negate this. My summary of defense against Kai is Faultless Defense when he's close, but actually try to instant block when he's like at mid-range, so he can't push himself out to here and be really safe and use things like Food Arc or a Stun Edge to continue his pressure. Okay, hopefully that made sense though. So this is less about just using FD to get people off you, and more of let's think about how to use Faultless Defense and Normal Guard to build specific strategies for each character. As you get better with your character, the only way you'll keep on improving in this game is by learning things about the other characters and developing strategies for them. So I hope this gives you a good baseline for that. As usual, if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.